Yeah, boss of YouTube, SixftHax here. What's up? How's it going, everybody? So this was a video that I thought about doing, but at the same time, I really wasn't so committed into doing it because I didn't know exactly just how I would go about it or how you guys may kind of receive it. And just in general, I think that this video topic is something interesting because it takes a look at a kind of very important role in Draft League where abilities can play such a huge factor in how a draft may become better than it really is, or it may be able to help a certain Pokemon just be an even bigger threat or nuisance in certain matches, making them even more valuable and more important to the team. So if you guys are interested in this and maybe seeing some more future videos of me talking about different abilities in Draft League format, make sure to hammer arm that thumbs up button down below and let me know in the comment section below what is your favorite ability in either singles play or doubles or Draft League format. Let me know in the comment section below. Me personally, I think my favorite ability is Intimidate, but that's a different topic for a different video potentially. Right now, I do want to focus on the ability known as Frisk. Frisk allows you to see what item your opponent is carrying. And if you guys saw my P4G Season 3 run where we were able to win our championship in, you guys will have seen me praise Frisk. Frisk is honestly such an amazing ability, and it's an ability that I'm really surprised I never heard a lot of people talk about, or a lot of people just didn't have really anything to say about it. And I guess in a sense it could be considered a very underrated ability, because if you take a look at the list here, these are probably the 6 best Pokemon that can have the Frisk ability. Now obviously with Gothitelle, it's only if Shadow Tag is not allowed, and there is a couple leagues that do have Shadow Tag banned. So something like tier 5 Frisk Gothitelle I think is actually very viable and something to consider if you were to draft this mon here. Alolan Executor is a mon I've honestly never really seen drafted, but with these stats I think could definitely benefit from having this Frisk ability. But speaking of the Frisk ability real quick, but if you look here, this is the entire list of Pokemon that can learn Frisk. As you can see, none of these Pokemon are necessarily considered very high tier in draft leagues, so I can kind of get why maybe Frisk is not looked at as an absolutely amazing ability, but it's an ability that I definitely think is underrated. Dusknoir, Dusclops, and Gourgeist are all very bulky ghost types, allowing them to easily pivot in to a lot of offensive moves, and then that way with Frisk they can gain information on the Pokemon's ability, and along with Frisk they can gain information on the Pokemon's item. And with Noivern, the main thing I like about Noivern as a Frisk Pokemon is that it's so absurdly fast. There is very little that is going to be able to outspeed Noivern. And the great thing about Frisk, and the absolutely biggest factor of it, is that if you can see what item your opponent has, that little bit of information can open up so many different windows that you may have not initially considered because you didn't know what item that Pokemon had. And I will be showing examples of where Frisk really helped me out in certain matchups for my P4G run. But the fact that you can pinpoint exactly what item your opponent is carrying on a Pokemon means that you're instantly able to understand, alright, this Pokemon is, let's say, Choice Scarf. That means it's not going to be bulky. It might be specifically EV'd to outspeed my fastest mon, which is, I don't know, Tornadus Therian, for example. So at that point, you could even narrow down exactly how much speed they are running on that mon to then be able to tell how much bulk or how much HP investment they're running in general. If you see a Pokemon that you know has an amazing matchup against you, and you're not sure on exactly what set it's running, whether it be a bulky set, potentially a setup set, maybe a specs or banded set, as soon as you see that Pokemon's item, you see that it has leftovers, alright, that means it's probably bulky or it's either setup. Or if there's just a terrifying offensive threat, you know it's going to be running a choice set, but you don't know exactly which one. That is where Frisk will be able to tell you, oh, okay, this is running choice specs, so that means that this Pokemon is faster than them, so we can now use this as a check. As where if you went into the battle regularly and you didn't gain any information off of that Pokemon potentially revenge killing something or just coming in and setting up a hazard as you switched out, then you're going to be going in blind against that giant threat to your team, and that of course is never good. At least with Frisk, you're able to automatically determine, alright, this is running this item, this Pokemon has this item, which means it most likely has this set, so that means I can play like this to ensure that that Pokemon is no longer a problem. And that's why Frisk, I think, is just such an absurdly great ability. So as I said, I was going to show you guys some examples, so we can take a look at that right now. As we have the first matchup here. So this was my match against my boy Kelly Under the Radar in the first round of playoffs, and as you can see here by the team matchup, Xatu is absurdly annoying for me to try to deal with. Plus Machamp, whether it be Assault Vest or Flame Orb, is a giant terror to my team. But if I'm able to find out that the Xatu is more of a bulky set as opposed to something surprising like a Choice Scarf set, then that will make me playing around it a little bit easier. There's also a chance that he could be a Colbur Berry set for knockoff Heracross, or he could be something like Yachi Berry or Wakan Berry for Ice Beam or Thunderbolt Nidoking. And by being able to know what item Xatu has initially, then that's going to determine how I can play around it. As we can see here, because he let off with his Xatu, I let off with my Noivern, and I was able to find out that he had the leftovers on his Xatu, which automatically told me, alright, this is not going to be a crazy offensive set. He's definitely going to be more defensive, so I need to play aggressively with my own offensive threats in Nidoking, Heracross, and this Noivern, because the sooner I get rid of the Xatu, the easier this matchup is going to be for me, especially if I'm able to get up my Stealth Rocks with my Nidoking. So in that sense, the entire speculation of what Xatu is running, what set is it running, what potential moves is it running, was almost completely eliminated by the fact that I was able to find out that he had leftovers, which told me, okay, he's definitely a defensive set, which means he could be a more tanky set, being able to run enough speed to outspeed my Heracross and Nidoking, which also tells me in return that he's probably not running that much special attack EVs. And as the match progressed, I was able to have my Nidoking in on the Xatu, and off of the assumptions that he wasn't running a lot of special attack investment, because I knew he was leftovers, I stayed in here, risked my chance of potentially getting KO'd, and in return OHKOing the Xatu with the Ice Beam, regardless of if he was max special attack or not, was able to extremely help me out in this match, because it opened up so many more windows for my offensive threats in the back in Noivern and especially Heracross. So this match I think was very good to be able to show you guys just exactly why Frisk is such a great ability. And another example that I want to show here was my finals match against Joey in P4G. So the main issues going into this battle were what Psyduck set is he running, what Deontay set is he running, and would he have offensive or a more defensive Mesprit variant. And then Roserade in general was absurdly difficult for my draft to handle. So if I could just gain a little bit of very specific information on those 4 Pokemon, it would have made my matchup so much easier. And the amazing thing too is that by leading off with one of my 2 Friskmons here, I was able to determine that his Roserade was initially a Choice Scarf variant, which automatically confirms to me, obviously he is not bulky. He most likely does not have something like Synthesis. If he wants to go for spikes, that means whatever I switch in on that Roserade will now allow me to take advantage of him. It's not that big of an issue if he did get up spikes, because this Noivern ultimately did have the defog. But if he were to lock himself into spikes, that gives me a giant window for my Steelix to potentially come in, my Salazzle to come in, or my Slowking to come in, as well as my Heracross. So in that sense, I would need to always ensure that whatever he locked himself into, I could immediately take advantage of. And if many more of these scenarios had occurred, then I would have been able to gain information earlier on the Deontay or the Zydog or the Mesprit, being able to allow me to adapt to what items they're running and what potential sets I think they are running. So another example, and I guess one that's not as big, but this was my week 1 match against Professor FX, and the biggest threats going into this game were Zoroark and Emboar. If I could figure out exactly what items Zoroark and Emboar were running, then from there I would be able to play accordingly and adapt to those specific Pokemon's items, and that would have enabled me to play much easier and much smarter around them, which is just another big benefit of why Frisk is just such an amazing ability in Draft League format. I really do hope that things like Noivern, Gourgeist, Dusclops, and Dusknoir maybe get drafted more often in the future, just because of how good Frisk really is, guys. Like, if you get anything from this video, if you know just exactly what item your opponent is running, I promise you it makes things 10 times easier. It allows you to pinpoint exactly what that Pokemon set is, and it's going to allow you to play around it like that. And if you're able to eliminate options and eliminate possibilities in general, that is a very, very important aspect when it comes to battling, because the less options you have to worry about, the more you can focus on the options that you actually do have and ensure that those options are able to work out for you in the end and in the long run of things. So yeah, guys, I think that is going to be the video. Noivern and Gourgeist, of course, are absolutely amazing Pokemon. Definitely try them out, but Frisk is just absolutely a beautiful ability, and something I really want to use more in future drafts. So with that being said, guys, if you did enjoy, hammer arm that thumbs up button down below. Again, let me know in the comment section below what is your favorite ability in singles, doubles, or Draft League format. And with that being said, I will see you all tomorrow. So thank you all for watching. Later, everybody.
No matter where you're at, I'm not here to make friends, it's time to attack and deplete your HP with a final smash. Don't make me turn around and pull a 6-foot hacks. 6 foot hacks, yeah. 6 foot hacks, yeah. 6 foot hacks,